Hello and welcome to Storytime Reddit. Today we're continuing with our story from r/SurvivingInfidelity, the complete saga of the cheating co-writer, Part 2. If you missed Part 1, click the pop-up text in the top right or find the link to the previous and next parts in the video description. And now, Part 2, beginning with the third post. Confronted her today. I've never seen someone implode like this. Progress. A heads up. I began writing this the day it happened, and I'm not rewriting it, so if some of my feelings don't reflect exactly what my comments were saying in the last couple of days, that's why. I've got some work to do today, so I might not respond to anything for quite some time. I never want to go through anything like this ever again. This was the single most difficult thing I've ever had to do, and I'm twitching like a tweaker every so often now. She left for either work or Chris's today, not really sure where she went, but she was gone. Tried to check her location, and either she turned off locations or my phone was giving me issues. I didn't have the means to serve her. That comes later this week. But I had to confront her before she realized what I was doing so she wouldn't have any more time to formulate some working lies. Heard my garage door opening and turned on the camera. She comes in completely oblivious. I tell her she ought to sit down because we've got to talk. Deer in the headlights look, but she sits down and asks me what's wrong. I ask, "Why don't you tell me?" She plays dumb, but I see she knows she's been found out. She asks me again what's wrong. I ask her what's really up with Chris. She says nothing, she hasn't heard from him. I redirect and decide to not confront her as directly and tell her that I'm uncomfortable with her working with him and that it's not something I can get past. She's 100% instantly agreeable and asks me very nervously why I changed my mind so quick and why I'm acting the way I am. I just shake my head and say something like, I wanted to be understanding about it, but I got weird vibes from him, and I'd prefer they wouldn't talk. She insists that he doesn't mean anything to her anymore, that she was just happy to see the book get made. I told her that he basically stole from her, and she's being way too understanding about that fact. That she ought to sue him over it, and she agrees with me. But now she's probably thinking she got out of this, and is going to break it off with Chris the minute she gets a second to do so. But then I tell her that the whole thing has really stressed me out and I'm going to take next week out of work. I tell her that I talked with my ex and she agreed to keep my son that weekend so I could go to Vegas with her. That's why I was talking to my ex for so long the other day, working out the details of her taking my son. Or at least that's what I'd have her think. Deadpan stare. I start talking about how Vid has shut down a lot of stuff and I'm not even sure what's open in Vegas. She cuts me off and tells me that it was actually canceled today. The conversation from here goes on like this, paraphrased of course. It got canceled last month. No, he told us today because he wasn't sure whether or not it was off until today. I know it got canceled last month. What are you doing? Why are you telling me you want to go and then telling me it's canceled? I don't get what you're doing. It was canceled last month. What were you going to do if I didn't ask about it? You're freaking me out. It was canceled today. What were you going to do in town name where her hotel is? What are you accusing me of? How long have you and Chris been back together? We haven't done anything. Did he tell you we were? Don't lie to me. I don't want to read off everything he texted. It almost made me throw up and doing it the first time. I can't believe you'd do this. I love you. I'm sorry. He's been texting me a lot lately and saying a lot of messed up stuff and I don't know how to deal with it. I wanted to tell you this, but I was afraid you'd do what you're doing now. I was just hoping he'd stop on his own. You didn't see him for 8 years, and 20 minutes after he got off the plane, you had sex with him? What plane? What are you reading? He lives on street name. You want to stop this? Just admit what you did so we can move forward with this. Why did you tell me he lived in East Coast? Did he say something to you? He lies constantly. It's part of the reason why we broke up. I told you that. I knew I shouldn't have responded to his messages. It's always drama with him. All his messages were fine, but he started with the missing me stuff again, like always. I was going to tell you. He wanted you to come home and kiss me after you were going down on him. I read your messages. I saw them in your email and in your texts. You're cheating on me, and I want you out of this house today. What? I'm not cheating on you. If you don't want him around, I'll tell him to get lost. But honey, I'm not cheating on you. Is that what he told you? He's lying. Stop it. I told you I went in your messages on your phone. You're going to get your stuff, and you're going to go to your parents. I made copies of your emails and screenshots from your texts. I don't want to show them what you two say to each other, but if you're going to keep lying to my face, I will. We're done. Go get your stuff. She tried, even in the face of all that, to play stupid and lie, but finally, tired of it, I broke out my copies of their texts and handed them to her. She looked at them for 2 seconds and then broke down crying hard. Like I've never seen her this devastated by anything. I even felt bad for her for a little while. She said she was sorry that it got out of hand and she wanted to put the brakes on it, but he had gotten possessive and was threatening to expose her if she ended it with him. I told her that none of that was in their texts and that she's still lying to me. She was going to go off and spend the weekend with him. She then told me it's done between them and she'll make him go away. She won't ever talk to him again. I told her I don't care what she does, but I've been talking to a lawyer and the divorce papers will be ready soon. At this point, she explodes and repeats, "You've been talking to a lawyer?" Like 4 or 5 times, and honestly, I was ready to call the cops because she's closing in on me and really screaming now. I tell her to calm down, that I have a camera going. She then continues to break down and not resemble anyone I've ever met before. Kept saying stuff like, "You just planned all this out," smiling to my face, just planning this all out. Which every time she did, I responded with the same. Well, look at what you've been planning and smiling to my face while you're out doing sex acts. I asked her why she'd do this to us, and at first she couldn't give me a straight answer. She tried to tell me it was meaningless sex, so I responded with, "Oh, so you ruined us for no reason, then. That's great." After a bit, she sort of got quieter, and I don't know if she was being honest or just trying to hurt me, but apparently she really messed up with him in her eyes. She called him her soulmate, and I nearly started breaking stuff. I asked her why she just didn't ditch me for him in the beginning. I would have understood then, and she said she just needed to get away from him because she knew how bad she'd look to her family if she brought him back around. Apparently they didn't like him either. She also said that she could never and can never actually be with him because her ex and daughter would fight her on this. So going back to him legitimately was never an option. She then said she was sorry and seemed to be in disbelief with how final I was with everything. She told me how much of a mistake it was, how much she would change and do whatever I wanted her just to fix the situation. I told her no. She then told me we weren't getting a divorce because she can make amends for this. I told her there was nothing she could do to earn my forgiveness. I will not forgive this, ever. And somehow she had the gall to be shocked by this. I told her then I opened an account in another bank and moved half from the joint account into it this morning, and that the rest is hers. She can either get it herself or I can get it for her, but the account is getting closed. She just nodded along and said we'd probably both have to go to the bank together to close it. She went and started packing her clothes up, peacefully, crying a little and oddly enough making threats every so often that she had better not have anything missing. I let it roll off my shoulder and told her to take pics of how she left her things and daughter's things so when she comes back, she'll see I didn't touch anything. Her folks had been contacted and they're in disbelief. They're both surprised that Chris is even a factor in any of this and spent time apologizing to me, and soon after, she was out of my house. The next day, soon-to-be ex hit my phone with so many "I love you, I'm sorry, we can fix this" texts that I contemplated flushing my phone. I wanted to just turn it off, but my ex-wife had my son, so I needed it on just in case of an emergency or a change in plans when he was coming home. So I just started responding to her texts by sending screenshots of the worst parts of their conversation and saying nothing of my own. Ex returned with my son and brought dinner from my favorite Chinese place. I didn't give my son the exact reason when I told him, but he asked flat out whether she cheated because it was so sudden, and I told him he was right without elaborating. They stayed for a while before returning home, and I've just been kind of floating around the house trying to keep it together. It's like 2 or 3 days since I began writing this, and I'm off to the gym and then my lawyers. This thing is already way too long, and things are updating so rapidly that I could be typing forever and never finish. My soon-to-be ex's ex-husband is going to come by and collect his daughter's things, and I'll explain to her the best I can that if she ever needs me, I'm just a phone call away. I'm also contemplating telling her ex that she ran around with Chris on him as well, because she said many times he doesn't know. But maybe I won't. That accomplishes nothing really. Anyway, first fight has been fought, and it looks like I'm winning as much as one can win given the circumstances. Part of me wants to confront Chris, but I'm smart enough that all that would be a waste of time and energy. Time better spent working or hitting the gym or finding some way to thank my ex-wife for being an absolute MVP in my corner through this. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Sorry if this is disjointed, but it's taken me a couple days to write, and of course developments keep happening. Quoting, part of me wants to confront Chris, but I'm smart enough that all that would be a waste of time and energy. The guy is a complete worm. Why soil the bottom of your boot with his entrails and possibly get a police record? Not worthy of even an afterthought. I was tempted to say there is no winning in these things, only surviving it with different levels of burn wounds, but getting past her betrayal and back on track is a good start. Rewarding life is definitely a victory. This Chris guy is a dirtball and doesn't deserve your time. My opinion, Don't go out of your way to confront him. Not worth the effort. But if he comes at you, you finish it. In the grand scheme of things, you can be pissed at the affair partner all you want, but 95% of the blame resides with his soon-to-be ex. She's the one that put her in position for this to happen, and the one that not only let it happen, but also encouraged it. She tells you he is her soulmate, then thinks things can continue with you. I can't be with him because people don't like him, but I love him. So we still good, right? Wow. OP. Soulmate. These two are soul dead. Pure sociopath. Been following from other thread. I will say again, you need to tell stepdaughter's dad. Soon-to-be ex clearly stated that he and daughter would never accept Chris. There is a reason. But that is the whole reason this is happening. Her mom lied and destroyed her life. Be truthful and honest, first to the point of it hurting hard. Now, but daughter will thank you and trust you as well as her dad. If soon-to-be ex lies that much to you, she will lie to them a lot. Be honest. It's your best thing right now. It will only help your stepdaughter. If you lie or keep something from her, then she will trust no one. Good luck. If I were OP, I would wait till the divorce is finalized and then tell the stepdaughter's dad. From what the comments in his update have said, she is a little inherently unstable right now. She's been on the phone with Chris crying and raving about him. In any case, it's really about the stepdaughter. If he doesn't say something now, it's lying by omission. She needs to know more than the ex. And now for the fourth post and update. 3-month progression update. Update. Just before Christmas last year, a little over 2 months ago, I discovered that my wife had been cheating on me with an old boyfriend. They had planned for a romantic weekend together, which I ruined for them when I confronted her. This will be long. So as an update, I've mostly gone no contact with my soon-to-be ex. I tried just communicating with her through my lawyer if we had a real reason to talk, but that made me feel like a child that was avoiding confrontation, even if that wasn't the case, and I decided to speak with her myself a few times. If you've been following the lengthy comment streams from my previous posts, you already know what was discussed, but I'll write everything here as if it's the first time I'm doing it. The soon-to-be ex at first was all over the place with how she talked about Chris. 1 minute he was her soulmate and the one that got away, the next he was a predator that would not leave her alone. Our family and friends have all heard the truth by now, and most of them have taken my side on the matter. Given the details I provided in my lengthy Facebook post, there was little room to side with her anyhow. She's since moved into her parents for the time being, and I remained in my home. It was acquired many years before I even met her, so that's not even an issue divorce-wise. Strangely enough, Chris, the affair partner, decided to write me this huge harangue of a letter. For what reason, God only knows. I got the impression from it that she must have dumped him in anger shortly after I gave her the boot because it's laden with stuff like, "We were repairing our relationship when you stole her from me. I've loved her for X amount of years, so don't post stuff online about how I'm a cheat." It really made me see red, and I wanted to do the man some serious physical harm. But once again, I saw a reason. Life has been pretty lonely in this house since she and my stepdaughter moved. The stepdaughter's room is still empty, and I have to leave the door closed because seeing it empty always hurts me, and I can't bring myself to do anything with it yet. She has a father, and he's a good dad, and because of him, I still see her once during the week. I take her for bike rides, or we go grab something to eat together. I asked her once if she felt comfortable eating at my house, and the poor thing just started crying. She loves her grandparents but doesn't like living with them, so she's been spending more time with her father. Her old man has invited me over a couple times for a beer. We had a few conversations about our mutual ex and Chris. I think I mentioned in the comments on my last post, but he knew the entire time she was cheating on him. I see my son and my ex-wife a lot more now. One of my weekdays lines up with their schedule, so I'll stop in for dinner, and I've been keeping him an extra day for my weekends, and she will generally join us for dinner on Friday night. I've asked my son if he wants to talk about how he feels concerning my upcoming divorce, and he's not saying it so much, but he's hurting. The first couple of times he just got this far-off stare and was like, I don't want to even think about her, and that he loved her and didn't expect her of all people to do this to him. And it really hit me when he said that. We always think about what someone's affair does to us, like it's an act of malice against us. But what she did to me, coming from him, hurt more than anything she could have ever done to me. I've discussed therapy with he and his mom, but he insists he's all right, and if he feels he can't handle it, he'll talk to us. He's a mature kid, and I trust his judgment, usually pretty upfront about how he's doing. He and I, for the first time in private, discussed the divorce between his mother and I and the reason behind it. I really didn't want to at first, as he is currently raging about adultery and he has a great relationship with his mom. But he was asking about it, so I opted for polite honesty. I told him his mother hurt me just as much, but what she did was just a very poor choice, and that I'm not upset about it anymore, but it took a while. Speaking of my ex-wife, she's had my back through much of this. She's pretty much the reason I started having dinner with them one night during the week and keeping my son longer because she insists I'll do better to not be constantly alone in that house. A lot of people have suggested that she and I reunite. If I was ever to come to that decision, I would want to wait to be done with some therapy sessions, perhaps couples therapy if she was anywhere in this ballpark. We did briefly discuss our own divorce and the infidelity that led to it. I've moved past it and don't feel fazed by it anymore, but she talks about it like she just got caught. It's not the first time I've done so, but I told her that I forgive her for it. I even added this time that giving more consideration to how she described the encounter, it's likely she was preyed on by some creep because she had too much to drink. This wasn't a guy she knew very well and had only seen around her place of work a few times. As if I'm remembering this right, either didn't work in her area or worked at a separate location. In either case, she has literally not seen him since like a few days after it happened. It's a little tough thinking about that too, because even though it doesn't bother me on a regular basis anymore, the fact of the matter is I was really loving my life up until she broke the bad news to me. The soon-to-be ex kind of smothered things over me when that relationship started. But once again, right as I'm feeling my life is great and I'm happy, infidelity messes that up for me. Kind of makes me really unwilling to even consider another relationship if this is what all my time and effort leads to. All that said, I'm taking a trip to Disney World this July to try and wash my mind of all this. Originally, it was supposed to be me, the ex-wife, and my son, but I've managed to talk the soon-to-be ex into allowing my stepdaughter to come along so she won't feel excluded. She'll probably just use the time to bang her next unfortunate soul, but that's not my problem anymore. I feel sorry for your stepdaughter, the part when you said she started crying. It's a shame cheaters are so selfish they never consider everyone who is affected by their backstabbing actions. Does the ex still want to reconcile? OP. My soon-to-be ex tried to ask for reconciliation and did so until I stopped answering my phone. My son's mother, she hasn't said she wants to, if she does want to. Tell her you were considering reconciliation until Chris sent you that letter, that it showed that reconciliation can never happen. Really screw Chris over in her eyes. OP. I don't even know if that would do anything to her at all. I have all the usual notions, like I want to ask her why she did this to me and actually get a real honest answer, but that's only the emotional child in me screaming he wants answers to questions that don't even matter anymore. Oh, I'm saying this will just make her more angry at him. Why not F him? OP. Are you under the impression that I'm having second thoughts about the soon-to-be ex-wife? Because there is no way in hell reconciliation is even considered in her situation. I've slept with her twice since I found out and was keeping it secret, and both of those times I felt like peeling my skin off because I touched her. My son's mother, on the other hand, I'm not pursuing her at all, but I am keeping an open mind about things down the road. That's a non-issue, as I've got a lot of work to do on myself to find my new purpose. OP. My stepdaughter is always going to be my princess. I don't care what I've got to do, I will find ways to let her know she's loved. I feel so terrible for her too, and everyone else involved in this mess. My mother, an elderly woman who has never had a bad word to say about anyone, randomly told me when I was taking her grocery shopping that if soon-to-be ex-wife was here with us, she'd strangle her. She was dead serious too. To see someone as kindly and sweet as my mom talk like this, it hurts. I couldn't friends with benefits my ex-wife. I respect her way too much for that, and she wouldn't go for that either. More than that, I don't know if it was the cheating that did it or me getting married to another woman, but I kind of stopped seeing her as a sexual being. The affection and care I have for her now kind of feels like how you'd love a close family member. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. I hope you'll come again soon. Bye for now!